With nicknames like Mr. Dynamite, the hardest working man in show business, and the Godfather of Soul, it was really only a matter of time before somebody made a movie about the one and only James Brown. That time is now, and the somebodies are big too. Mick Jagger and producer Brian Grazer, and the film opening up today is Get On Up. Get On Up gives an unflinching look at the life and career of James Brown, from his childhood in abject poverty to his rise to one of the most influential artists in American history. What was the story you wanted to tell, Mick, about James Brown?
I wanted to see James Brown as a great performer. I wanted to have people see that in his life, his early life, the kind of incredible rural poverty that he had to endure, his almost impossible family life as a young man, and how he overcame those things.
Well, that's the thing for me. I knew nothing about him. You know, I know, say it loud, I'm black and proud, it's a man's world, please, please, please. But I knew nothing about his life.
Called you at 1. I called you again a quarter after. Called you again at 2, and then I called you at 3.
Well, you must have wanted to talk to me pretty bad.
Where were you?
Was that a difficult story to tell? Because I found at many parts he was unlikable. But in the middle of the movie, I went, oh, I get it.
So what makes it ultimately forgivable is just the survival that he had to go through created such emotional injuries that as an audience, you get an insight into all that, and it makes some of his bad behavior understandable.
That's the thing that I got. What did he mean to you, Mick? Because I often wonder, now that I see you on stage and I've seen him on stage, does he have moves like Jagger, or does Jagger have moves like James Brown?
But James,
have you heard that song, Moves Like Jagger?
Gail's going to dance. Gayle is now dancing. I mean, his moves were really, a lot of them quite hard to do. And I'd get off some of them. Some of the early ones I would do, you know, I'd do that. I can do that, yeah. When you're 20, you can do anything. Yeah. So I can do that. But the thing was about him, it wasn't only just the moves, it was like his whole persona and attitude to the audience, and the way he worked the audience, the way he worked so hard himself. And so he was one of the people that influenced me as a stage performer a lot.
There was something I read that you, Mick Jagger, said, James Brown had the ability to always treat me like I was a new kid on the block. True?
James Brown had a reputation of being quite dismissive, to be honest. But when I first met him, I was like 20 years old, and I went to the Apollo, and I bustled my way into his dressing room, and I just said, "Hey, I'm sure he didn't know who it was from Adam, because you know Rolling Stones were nothing in those days. You know, we were very new. You know,
but you went into the dressing room and said, "What? I'm Mick Jagger?
Yeah,
Hi."
Yeah, this is me. I'm Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones.
I'm 21. I'm 21 years old.
And here I am. You know, and I liked your show, and you were cool. And how to do that?
Yeah.
No, but he was really nice to me.
Jagger and Brown first worked together back in 1964. This rare photo, taken by Bob Bonus, he's a former Rolling Stones tour manager, shows the two of them together at the world-famous Tammy Show. Brown was originally supposed to close that show. A last-minute switch gave the honor to the Rolling Stones, who were watching as the Godfather of Soul blew the roof off the studio with his performance. In the movie, they've got a great scene where that famous thing at the Tammy, and he's getting off the stage and he says to the people playing you,
"Welcome to America."
What that Tammy Show performance represented to him was an opportunity to start crossing over into a mainstream audience.
He was so theatrical, guys.
Yeah.
So theatrical.
And that's why everyone loved him. And then eventually he went on to appear, you know, on the Ed Sullivan Show, and that's real mainstream stuff. So this was the beginning of that for him.
You gonna argue what God's is? If it sound good and it feel good, then it's musical. So play it like I say play it.
In the film, James Brown is played by Chadwick Boseman. The physically challenging role forced him to go from actor to showman. I can't get over Chad Boseman. He so nailed this role. What is it that you saw in him as someone who knew James Brown?
Mick and I together saw someone that had emotional range and amazing sort of acting skill, but it later became revealed that he was much more than that.
How do my own old record sound like this new bag? Like the title say, Papa's got a brand new bag.
He's playing him when he's, you know, 16, he's playing him when he's 35, he's playing him when he's 60. So he has to do all those things. Plus, on top of it, if that wasn't quite hard enough, he has to become James Brown, the performer. So any performer will tell you that, you know, the private person is different from the person on stage. I mean, I'm not the same person on stage as I am It'd be really embarrassing if I was. But
Well, at least you know that. At least you know on stage you're performing,
yeah.
yes.
But you understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
Chad had to become James Brown, the performer.
Crowd, I need that pop, day up, pop, but day up.
So when the credits roll and the people walk out, you want them to feel what when they walk out of this theater after watching your work?
I think emotionally moved.
Yes.
Feel emotionally resolved, like I understand not only the songs and enjoyed these songs, but like they've experienced something that's pretty intense, pretty cool.
Yeah, and I wanted to think about how much they enjoyed the music too, and how
Yes.
great the music
Yes,
was,
Mick.
and what
Yeah.
the performance, and how great that music sounds, and how relevant it is still today. Everyone has been influenced by James Brown as a performer, myself, and Prince, and Jay-Z, Bruno Mars, all these people influenced by his performance.
I wonder what he thought about the Rolling Stones.
I don't know if he thought anything.
What a great
Yeah,
piece.
James Brown had such a large life, and for them to boil it down the way they do. Mick Jagger's a very smart cookie, he and Brian Grazer together, but you really get a sense of James Brown that I knew nothing about. Here on the cover of USA Today, Chad Boseman, who many of you would recognize because he played 42 Jackie Robinson, and he was reluctant to do another iconic role, but he was...
And you think it's an award-winning role.
I do. You know, listen, I just know movies as a regular movie person, but he is so good. I predict he'll be nominated for an Oscar. He learned to dance like that, guys.
That's
Great
amazing.
interview. I want to know more, too, about James Brown's growing up. What?
The movie opens today, Nora.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Gayle.
Go see it.
I'm planning your weekend. You're welcome.
Thank you.